Hello. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday, March 20th. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report, coming to you live from Washington, D.C., and I'm trying my iPhone as my camera today. So this is an experiment. We shall see how this goes. I am hoping the quality is much better. Hopefully it's not going to lag. The color's a little off because the sun's setting, so it's doing stuff, but what I'm shooting for is better video quality. So definitely let me know how that is looking on your end for you all. But like I said, it's a little orange, but I can't really adjust it right now. But how's the quality? How's the stream? Is it choppy? Does the resolution look better? Does it look finer, so to speak? I'm hoping it does. As I said, I'm using my phone today. I decided to buy some software that lets me use my iPhone as the camera because, frankly, I hate my camera. I have a very nice camera that I spent like $140 for, and I think it's a lousy camera. This is using, I think some of you may have said too, I was talking to some people and basically I decided, let me try my iPhone, and I'm using my iPhone camera, which is really good. I think at least the tests that I did on YouTube were much better. Let me get TikTok. We got TikTok tonight. Finally, I'm out of, the gulag, the Chinese gulag. Let me get this rolling and let's see how long this lasts. Haha. All right. Ukraine war update. All right, add live goal. What the hell? Let me get a live goal going, and then we're going to start, guys. Yeah, no, the quality should be, again, it's a little orange, which I'm not liking, but I think the sunset is playing games, which, I can live with that, But it's, let me get, hang on here. But otherwise, I am very happy. I think this is a good, like I said, I'm liking the quality. Yeah, but again, it's orange, which I'm not happy, but that we'll deal with next week. I can only deal with so many issues at once. Thank you, cool. Sorry, I'm trying to get TikTok rolling here. I'm trying to pick 1 second here. We'll do our Aflac. We haven't done that a while on TikTok. There we go. All right. Let's start TikTok. This is scary. Let's see how long we last on TikTok. Let's see. All right, guys. All right. TikTok is going live. Woo! All right, notifying the viewers, but let's see. Yeah, like I said, I want to keep trying with it doesn't look orange to you. That's even better. Good. Okay, good. On mine it's a little orange. Hey TikTokers, I'm back. Hey Ryan. Yes. Hello, all. Good to see everybody on TikTok and YouTube both. Hello, all. TikTok is live right now. It is, because I'm talking to them and I'm looking at them and they're all saying hi back. Hey, TikTokers. Welcome back. Welcome, YouTubers, everybody. Glad to see everyone. The family is reunited. How exciting. The TikTok and YouTube families are all back together again. Woo-woo. All right. So today we're only going to talk about puppies and kittens because that's the only thing safe to talk about. Thank you, Super Hornet. I was going to make a joke about puppies, but I'm not going to make it because that'll probably get me banned too. Hey, Bryce. Hey, Lotus. Thank you, Ava, for the gifts. Thank you, Martin. Anyway, oh my God, what a crazy week this has been. So, hey, TikTokers, thank you for joining us back. The last week I've been on self-imposed exile, so I've been broadcasting on YouTube and not here. Thank you, Gunnar and others, for joining me over on the other site. Anyway, as I said, I'm trying to do a little bit something new over on YouTube tonight. Thank you, James. TikTok has always been streaming well. TikTok is always it's a good quality stream using my iPad, and I think it does a pretty good job with the lighting and everything else too. YouTube has been very difficult because I try to stream to those guys as well. Thank you, Chezak. I'm going to call it YT, so I'm not killing my algorithm on TikTok. YT has been difficult sometimes. Thank you, Mustard. Thank you, Lamb Chop. So anyway, we are back, guys. Welcome. I have so much news today. It is a ridiculously busy news day. Thank you, Nancy. I guess only appropriate. Thank you, Jen, for since we've got the family back together. So TikTokers, as I've been telling the YouTubers all week, please do keep the gifts coming. Thank you, Ava. TikTok banned me for a week, and basically that's money that I don't make. It's significant. And thank you, Tarad. The YTers, we'll call you guys, the folks over at YT have been very generous in supporting me while I was gone for the week on TikTok. So thank you guys. Now, what is kind of funny, since I've been gone for the week, we don't. I'm noticing like we're not getting trolls yet, are we? Thank you, Felicia. So mods over on TikTok, I'm curious, are we getting the trolls yet or not really? It's almost like they don't know we're here yet, which is kind of funny. It's like, ha. Anyway, thank you, Max. Thanks, Felicia. So tomorrow what I'm going to do, by the way, is I'm going to stream. There's no way with my phone that I can do both. I'm going to stream on TikTok tomorrow from the Cherry Blossoms in DC. Damien and I are going to go. It's going to be a little cold. Thank you, Carl, for the gift. It's going to be a little cold, but hopefully it'll be. I'll take some video that then I can put on both services. I was banned for the week on TikTok. Thank you, Chelsea. So I wasn't able to go live. I would tell you what happened if I knew what happened. Nobody can tell me what happened or why. So I am not going to talk about it because honestly, it seems like it's only going to cause more problems. So yes, they banned me for a week. Couldn't give me a real reason. You know. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Timothy. Anyway, let's not even talk about it. Hey, Aflac. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Allie. So yes, let's get rolling here. The Y-tiers, by the way, have been very generous with the subscriptions. Thank you, guys. As you know, I set up a new subscription category, $4.99. That makes it more affordable for you all on YT. But also, it allows you now to gift. You can gift subscriptions to each other, to memberships to my YouTube channel, which helps support me. So just be aware of that. I know Jens, I think, already gifted some. Basically, you can buy subscriptions for a month, like 3, 4, 5, whatever you want to spend. $20 gives you 4, let's say. And YouTube will automatically give them to people using their algorithm. There you go. Ben just did it. Thank you, Ben. So Ben just did it. So the YouTube algorithm, there you go. It's already giving it to you guys. So Flying Medic, Drake, Mad Mike, Sick, and Mike all got gift memberships. So that allows you guys to come for, to get all the emojis. But the best thing on subscriptions on TikTok or on YT is you guys can join, I think the best thing, you can join the Saturday show. You do get to use special emojis. Thank you, Monica. But our Saturday show is nice. We typically hang out with my friend Vlad from Ukraine. He's traveling the next couple days, so we'll see if Vlad's able to make it. But it's a much more casual hangout, which is kind of nice. I like it. Looking at the sun coming in. Woo. But it's kind of a nice casual hangout, which is nice. So anyway, welcome, guys. I am very excited to be back with everybody. Thank you, Annie. And as I said, the people over at YT have been very generous all week. And I'm glad to see the TikTokers back. All right, guys, let me get rolling. Let's do it. So today is day 753 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. Russia did kind of yet another kind of horrific attack on Kharkiv in Ukraine today in the northeast using a Kh-35 anti-ship missile. They killed 5 civilians, injured 7. Thank you, Scott. Now, I am going to use some of my previous knowledge of the war and say that using an anti-ship missile, first of all, a couple things. If you're using an anti-ship missile to attack civilians, right, something's not going right. It suggests that the Russians, thank you, Annie, by the way, for the gift membership for the folks out there. I see Brian got it. Thank you. And thank you, Brandy, for your member for 8 months, Farmer with Tractor. But if you're using anti-ship missiles, thanks, Colleen, to go after buildings, it probably means you've got a shortage of missiles. The other problem is, I'm going to guess, exactly, Erstad just said out of missiles. The other thing I'm going to guess is the anti-ship missiles are probably not very accurate when fired at cities. And this is part of the issue, thank you, Nicholas, is that the Russians don't really care. In terms of civilian casualties, it is well established in defense circles that the Russians actually use civilian casualties as a strategy of war. Thank you, Andrew. And unlike other militaries where civilians certainly get hurt and killed in warfare, for the Russians, it is not an added factor, right? It is the goal. In many cases for Russian military strategy to attack civilians. Thank you, Morris. Very generous of you. So the fact that they're using these anti-ship missiles on a city, which would be not very accurate, tells you again somewhat of their strategy. Thank you, Nicola. I say Nicola. I never quite know if you're a Nicholas or a Nicola. The way you write it is kind of like the French, which is why I always think of you as a Nicola. All right, let's keep going here. Ukrainian drones. Oh, this is really cool. Thank you, Josh. The TikTokers are out of control with gifts today, by the way. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, Parda. As I said, it's been kind of a scary week not being able to go live on TikTok. And a wonderful dinosaur from Robert, our dinosaur expert. Thank you, Robert. Very generous as always. Thank you, Magical and Drew. Everybody's out today. Woo! Hey, everybody. Thanks incredibly. Thank you, Drew, again. Joe, and Joe just became a subscriber as well. Thank you, Joe, over on YT. Appreciate that. So Ukrainian drones, listen to this. The Ukrainians attacked a major Russian air base today with drones. Thank you, Martin. And it's the Engels Air Base, Marx and Engels, basically, named after the original communists, or the Marxists. The drones were operated, of course, by Ukrainian intelligence, military intelligence. Thank you, Colleen. And they hit the base. The base, I will show you, is not very close to Ukraine and not very close to Moscow. I think it's something, I had it written down, but I deleted it. It's something like 400 miles maybe from Moscow, or 300 miles. It's not close. But if you look at the map here, the base is more or less over here. This is all Russia. This is Ukraine. The base is all the way over here. So it's sort of the equal length of Ukraine away. It is several hundred miles away, several hundred kilometers away. So very interesting that the Ukrainians hit it. We don't know how they did. But nonetheless, it still is certainly of concern to the Russians that the Ukrainians are able to go several hundred miles into Russia with their drone attacks. Now, what we don't know with these drone attacks, which is always an interesting question, is whether it is, thank you, Steve, whether it is an attack from Ukraine or whether Ukraine is using assets inside Russia. So it's these Russian Legion folks or somebody else who could have brought drones closer to Ukraine and been using them over there. We just don't know. Ukraine, speaking of drones, Ukraine's sort of boy genius. I say boy, he's not a boy, he's like 33, but kind of a boy when you're talking, ministers of government. What's his name? He's the, Mikhailo Fedorov. Who is that? Thank you, Fuller. He's the young guy who's been kind of the tech genius in Ukraine, who's been doing so much of the work on drones and really everything else on the technical internet technology side for the Ukrainians. Really brilliant guy, very young, very smart. And he says that currently Ukraine is producing 1 million drones a year. Thank you, Annie. I appreciate that, very sweet of you. Ukraine produces about 1 million drones a year, but if they were to get more financial support from the West, they could produce 2 million drones a year. Now that's actually very interesting. And thank you, Joe, for the gift membership to pass around. Appreciate that. Thank you, Janice. Basically, listen to this. They're saying that let me see this. He said in an interview today that the Ukrainian government was contracting much less than our manufacturers are capable of because it did not have enough funds on hand. So basically, Ukraine is producing, by the end of this year, they'll have produced 1 million drones. They are capable of producing 2 million, but they don't have enough money. So now this gets, and we're going to talk about this next. Oh, thank you, B19 for the eyes. This gets to the issue, of course, of foreign support, of U.S. support, European support, right? I mean, the whole point here is if Ukraine had more support, actually, the very fact that limited foreign aid is limiting Ukraine's ability to fight back, because we all know how important drones are. That they could produce twice as many drones, that's of concern. That they aren't. A little bit more here. So the White House National Security Advisor spoke today. He drives me a little crazy. You may all know. Thank you, Kevin. And Jake Sullivan, he annoys me. I think he's the big problem. No. Okay. Biden is the problem in some ways. Anybody who watches the show and has watched it for a while knows that I'm a fan of Biden in terms of I think he's done an excellent job rallying international support for Ukraine, right? He got the world together. Thank you, Dark Phoenix. Wonderful gift. And Grand Canyon too. Very cool. He did a wonderful job rallying the world to Ukraine's side. But at the same time, and I fault Biden for this. Hang on, I'm going to change the chat setting here so I can see a little better. There we go. At the same time, and I've said this before, and I don't know that, I don't think not everybody agrees with me, but a lot of you, I think some of you, actually, I'd be curious how many of you didn't agree with me and now do over time. But I've been saying for a while that Biden doesn't want Ukraine to win. And what I mean by that is he doesn't want Ukraine to lose, that's for sure. He certainly doesn't want Russia to win. Biden, like the French and the Germans and others, is very worried that if Putin wins, thank you, Annie, for the gift, or for the gifted membership. Biden is very worried that if Putin wins the war in Ukraine, thank you, Ellie, he's going to be invigorated to basically go after more European countries and more NATO countries. Thank you, Jonathan. The problem is, I think Biden is also very concerned about Putin's nukes. And he's worried that if the Ukrainians, for example, were to go and not just take back all of the territory Russia took in the last 2 years, okay? Russia took basically all of this in the last 2 years. They took more, but the Ukrainians got it back. More power to the Ukrainians. But this territory, Biden, I think, is okay with Ukraine getting this back. He's not okay with Ukraine getting Crimea back. Crimea is the territory that the Russians stole from Ukraine when the war began back in 2014 when they invaded. And I think Biden is just a little too freaked out about Putin's nuclear weapons, frankly, and too freaked out about it. Thank you, Von Kramer. I appreciate that, Von Kramer. So that's my criticism of Biden. And frankly, it comes to a much larger issue. I was talking, actually, Callum and I were talking about this today. I don't think Biden has a strategy for victory, and that worries me. Thank you, Pedro. I will say Donald Trump doesn't have a strategy for victory in Ukraine. He wants us to stop funding Ukraine. The Hungarian president, prime minister, I should say, Orban, said this. I mean, we know this, but Orban himself even said it. He said, I just talked to Trump, and he said, if he's president, he's cutting off every penny, right? And we know that Republicans in Congress also stopped all funding to Ukraine, okay? It's been cut off. We know it was the MAGA Republicans in Congress. We know Donald Trump told them to do it. Thank you, Succeed. Everyone's been very public about that. The problem is, if we're going to keep funding Ukraine, and I am a big supporter of funding Ukraine, I want to know what the strategy for victory is. And I'm not convinced that Biden's got one, because I think Biden is afraid of Ukraine doing too well, and he believes Putin, and I think Putin's bluffing. I don't believe Putin at all. Thank you, Chris. He believes Putin's bluffing about nukes, and Putin's got Biden scared, I think. And unfortunately, it puts us in a weird position where, are we going to give more money to Ukraine, but not enough on purpose? Are we going to give them some weapons, but not the right weapons, which is what we're doing, by the way? Right? We're now, the U.S. is going to give them, based on some old authority, some old money we still had, we're going to give them more ATACMS missiles. Of course, they're not the ATACMS missiles Ukraine needs. Ukraine has said, and the experts have all said, they need the longer range missiles. We're going to give them the short range missiles, which are helpful, but not the ones they need. Right? So anyway, this is just an ongoing concern I've got, and I will just keep bringing it up until I'm blue in the face. That we are, I don't think Biden has a plan for victory. And as I said, Donald Trump has a plan to literally cut off Ukraine entirely, and he said so, but Biden's plan doesn't get you all the way there, you know. In any case, a little more on this. So the White House National Security Advisor says today, Jake Sullivan, that, what did he say? Oh, he was on a trip to Kyiv. Okay, I didn't even realize that. Thank you, Chris. He was on a trip to Kyiv today, and he said, aid will get to Ukraine. From our perspective, we are confident we will get this done, the American aid package. Now, I'm not confident at all. I don't even know what that means, he's confident. Lindsey Graham had said, a Republican senator this week, had mentioned Donald Trump's idea about giving aid to Ukraine as a loan instead of actual, grants of military material. Sullivan says, there's no need to talk about a plan B, meaning the loans, because I am confident that we will achieve plan A. Well, I'm confident that it's been 6 months now, practically 5 months, that U.S. aid has been cut off. Thank you, Bjorn, for the gift over there. I appreciate that. That U.S. aid has been cut off. And I'm not confident at all that there's any plan whatsoever to turn it back on. We keep hearing that it's slowly, maybe, something happening in the House of Representatives someday, right? Like, la, 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 la. But what's the plan, guys? And I will say this, too. It is clear, especially reading this from Sullivan, these guys don't want to criticize the Republicans in Congress who have killed the aid to Ukraine. They have. They've stopped the aid to Ukraine. They've admitted it. Donald Trump asked them to, and they did it. He doesn't want to criticize them. And this is a political decision. Thank you, Black Opal. And it's something Democrats do a lot. It's something Republicans often do not, based on my 35 years experience working in Washington politics. Republicans are very prone to criticize Democrats when Democrats either do the wrong thing or at least they want to accuse them of the wrong thing. Democrats don't want to do it with Republicans. And I've seen this over and over again. They're always worried about, well, we've got to work with them in the future and we don't want to make them angry. And Biden's done this before a lot too. I think Biden doesn't want to anger the Republicans by accusing them of cutting off aid to Ukraine and putting not just Ukraine in danger, but European security in danger. And again, I love that Jake Sullivan thinks he's really confident the aid's going to be there, but it's been 5 months, guys. Ukrainians are dying. And they're dying because the American aid isn't coming in. So I almost find it a bit distasteful that the American National Security Advisor is talking about, we don't need a plan B. Plan A is going great. Plan A is not going great. The money's gone. And Ukrainian soldiers are dying and civilians are dying and they're losing land because our aid is gone. We should maybe consider plan B. Thank you, Strongman, for the cap and Chris Carter for the crown. And, somebody with a Hebrew name, which I cannot pronounce, but you've got to thank you, whoever you are, who just did a new Patriot Launcher membership. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, a little bit more. So Joe Manchin today, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia is a very conservative Democrat, really. And he said today, listen to this, he warned that that failing to continue American aid to Ukraine could lead to the worst atrocity in history. He told a summit hosted by Axios, which is a big political publication here in Washington, very good, that we can't let Ukraine go through this. If it comes through the spring and we haven't helped Ukraine, in other words, if spring arrives and we're still not giving aid to Ukraine, God help us. That'll be the worst atrocity in history that your children or grandchildren will be reading about that we've done. I think he's right. Not to mention, he is ratcheting up the pressure by saying that. Biden isn't. I mean, this is part of what, and again, I say this because, and again, I don't just have a lot of experience in Washington, 35 years, but a lot of my experience has been in sort of political activism. It's been in how do you pressure people to do what you want? Either it could be negative pressure, it could be positive pressure, so it could be beating up on members of Congress, it could be supporting them. I got Barack Obama as president mad at me once, sort of famously. We've talked about that before. I'll have to read you the passage from a friend's book. Thank you, Daily News. And thank you, Robert, for the gift. Talking about Obama getting very pissed about basically something I did. But he deserved it. I mean, it wasn't my fault. And what Manchin is saying is necessary. You've got to ratchet up the pressure. You've got to keep telling the American people what the cost is of not helping Ukraine. Otherwise, honestly, the American people aren't hearing anyone. I mean, they aren't hearing Biden talk about the dire consequences. We're hearing it from Europeans. We keep hearing from Europeans, right? The danger of what happens next if the Russians win in Ukraine. We're hearing the Europeans literally worry about war and talk about being prepared for war. I mean, to a degree that it's kind of scary what we're hearing from European governments, from current defense officials, from former defense officials, right? I mean, it's European governments talking about possibly eventually sending troops to Ukraine, the French, the Czech, the Poles, right? I mean, it's scary talk. From the Americans, you don't hear any of this. And I would argue that if you're trying to get your public to support the war effort, you need to tell the public why. Because otherwise it sounds like we're giving money for no reason, right? Because, Putin's not a threat. Russia's not a threat. They're our friend. The Republicans tell us, a lot of the MAGA Republicans, right? Trump likes Putin, so why is Putin a problem? Well, unless you explain to people why it's a problem, they're not going to ever understand that. Anyway, thank you, Daily News. So I'm a big believer in sort of political marketing, I'll call it, which is, and this is another criticism I make of Democrats. Democrats very often think that good ideas sell themselves. Good ideas do not sell themselves, certainly not in politics. You have to sell it. And I would say anybody in business probably knows the same. Actually, I'd be curious, but I'm assuming in business it's the same. A good product maybe helps to sell itself that it's a good product, but you need to actually market it so people know about it. And in politics, forget it. You've always got, because the other problem in politics is the bad guys are always going to be, I wouldn't even say the bad guys. The other guys are always going to be shooting down your idea, right? So Democrats are always going to be criticizing Republican ideas. Republicans are always going to be criticizing Democrats' ideas. So if you don't defend them, if you're not sort of marketing around your idea, then you've left a vacuum where only the negative is taking place. So again, that's why it drives me crazy. The name game, interesting. The name game, Teresa, I'm not familiar with that. What is that actually? Just curious. I'm not going to like sit here and not talk for 5 minutes in case, because I know it takes a while and there's a delay too, but I've never heard that before. So Teresa was saying in business, what I'm describing is called the name game. Interesting. Well, that's a good question, actually. Oh, the name game is from American Horror Story? That's very funny. Somebody asked a good question. Oh, hey, Vitali. Vitali says hi from Ukraine, everybody. Say hello to Vitali over on TikTok. Somebody asked a question, what if Putin actually isn't bluffing and he's being serious about nukes? The problem is, okay, here's the problem. If we proceed under the theory, what if, right? No matter what Putin threatens, what if he means it? What if every time Putin gets angry, he really will use his nuclear weapons? Then I think we should close up shop, hand over all of Europe to Putin, and we should hand him Alaska and New York and California and Texas and any other state he might want. Because if he's serious about nukes, thank you, Scott, if he's serious, we don't want a nuclear war, right? So we should do everything to stop a nuclear war. That's the problem with that line of argumentation. And Elon Musk, frankly, brings it up a lot. Thank you, Chazak. Elon Musk brings it up all the time, right? Oh, what if he means it? Well, if you're gonna say, well, we never really know if Putin means it, then I guess we should just give up, right? Because that's the answer. Now, I would say what makes more sense than giving away all of Europe and giving half our country back to Russia, or giving at least Alaska back to Russia, because they've threatened, nukes, is, thank you, Jeremy, is to figure out how to short circuit their threat. And at least my experience in politics and what I've read and everything else, and Andy just said, if you give an inch to a bully, they'll take a mile. And I agree, is the name game. That's funny. Gunther singing the old song, I think from the 50s, maybe, the name game. I believe, thank you, Scotty, thank you, Maddie, that you need to stand up to bullies in order to stop them from fighting. That the lessons of the Cold War, thank you, Maddie, again, the lessons of the Cold War, and thank you, Black Opal, very cool, Chipmunk. A groundhog, okay, groundhog, sorry, not a chipmunk, that the lessons of the Cold War were, or is, or was, or whatever, that American strength deterred the Russians. That because they were worried about our weapons, because they were worried about our abilities, because they knew that if they attacked, we would attack back, they wouldn't do it. And in the end, when the threat is nuclear, for example, if Putin, I will tell you why I think Putin's threats are ridiculous. If the Russians were to use their nuclear weapons, we would use ours, and it would be over, right? I mean, that's the point. There is no scenario in which the Russians could attack us and take us out, and we wouldn't be able to respond with our weapons. And the same thing is true of the U.S. or Brits or French, because they have nuclear weapons too, attacking Russia. There is no way that we could attack Russia with our nuclear weapons and get away with it. There's no way. Russia's nuclear submarines would survive, and they would attack us and blow us out, to kingdom come. We would do the same to the Russians if they attacked us with their nukes. That's why I don't believe the nukes would be used. They're not going to be used unless quite literally it's a doomsday scenario, right? Like the Russians are marching on Washington, and we've got to stop them. Or thank you, Fred, or we're marching on Moscow and the Russians have to stop us. Then, yeah. Then they're desperate. It's the end of the world, right? Thank you, Liv. So yeah, I think it's a fair question to ask, but I think the answer is relatively easy. And the other problem is if we're going to always say, what if the Russians really will use their nukes, then we should just give up now and give them everything they want, until the end of the world. Because if you're always worried about the bad guy, doing something, then okay. But that's not the way I sort of approach things. Little more here. Deep. Oh, Russia's threatening SpaceX. What a surprise. So Russia's threatening Elon Musk today, his company. This does not surprise me. I'm kind of intrigued by it, to be honest. There's a long history here of Elon Musk and Ukraine and Russia and confusion. The Ukrainians, again, very long story here, but basically the Ukrainians had an attack on Crimea back in, I want to say, it might have been September. It was 2022. And they were launching an attack with boat drones. It was one of their first uses of their boat drones, actually. Drones that are, sort of autonomous drones in the ocean. There were boats that are little drones, basically, right, with explosives on them. Well, as they got close to Crimea, all of a sudden, their internet connection, which they were using for guidance, died. And the Ukrainians say they called SpaceX, because they were using Starlink, Elon's company, to use the internet, and begged him to turn it back on, and he refused, that he had turned off the internet. Then Elon denies it. Then a book comes out from Walter Isaacson, who's a very big American journalist, very famous, very well known, very respected. He does a biography of Elon Musk, and he interviews Musk for the biography. Well, the book is coming out. I mean, this is about a year ago now, or a year and a half ago. The book's about to come out. So they're starting to do interviews. He's starting to release, juicy passages from the book. And he releases a juicy passage from the book saying that, in fact, Elon Musk did cut off the attack on Crimea, that he literally turned the internet off as the Ukrainian boats were heading. And Elon made a lot of quotes, and he has subsequently made a lot of quotes about how it would be the end of the world if Putin got angry and this was a crazy attack. He didn't agree with the Ukrainian attack, this kind of thing. Well, Elon comes out and says, that book is lying. I never said this. Isaacson then turns around and goes, oh, I must have gotten it wrong. And we're all going, what do you mean you must have gotten it wrong? You interviewed Elon Musk. Surely you taped the interview, right? And Walter Isaacson, hugely famous American journalist. I mean, big guy. He doesn't get things wrong. He certainly doesn't get things wrong where literally, thank you, Al, literally he has a huge story and gets the entire story wrong from his interview with Elon. I mean, really? Right? So in any case, around the same time in 2022, when this attack goes south, there's a report from Ian Bremmer, who is a very famous American defense expert, Asia expert, international foreign policy. And Bremmer says that Elon, around the time of this attack that got thwarted, the Ukrainian attack on Crimea, thank you, Allison, because Starlink went out, that Elon talked to the Russians, that he was sort of frantically calling, that first of all, Bremmer says he talked to Elon, and that Elon says he either talked to the Russian ambassador or he even got Putin on the phone. There's different stories. But that Putin, in essence, threatened Starlink. But Bremmer sort of said it was sort of not a direct threat. At the time, I took it as Putin saying something, my interpretation was Putin saying something like, well, if your satellites are being used by Ukraine, that would make any satellite being used for war is a fair target, right? Well, let's take it to today. Russia just threatened SpaceX. This, I think, might be from Sky News or Reuters. I'm not sure which. Russia said on March 20th that U.S. spy satellites launched in collaboration with SpaceX would be a legitimate target for retaliatory measures, including military ones. Oh, it's Reuters. Reuters reported earlier in March that Elon Musk's SpaceX was working with the National Reconnaissance Office, a U.S. intelligence agency. NRO is kind of our spy satellite agency in some ways, to build. You can actually see it when you're landing in Washington. If you're landing in a certain path, you can see the National Reconnaissance Office if you know what you're looking for. It's kind of a round white globe on the ground. At least I think it's still there. It was there. I remember years ago seeing it. But that basically Musk SpaceX was working with the NRO to build a network of hundreds of spy satellites under a classified $1.8 billion contract. The Russians said, "We are aware of Washington's efforts to attract the private sector to serve its military ambitions. These networks become a legitimate target for retaliatory measures, including military ones." I wonder, at least, whether what made Elon Musk so anti-Ukraine about a year and a half ago, and he's been terrible since, repeats talking points that the Russians would be very happy with. I've always wondered whether it isn't because of this kind of a threat from the Russians, and that in the end, Elon cares about Elon, which makes sense, and Elon cares about his company, which makes sense, and that was the concern. Anyway, just a thought. British troops in Ukraine cannot be ruled out, according to former Defense Minister Ben Wallace of Britain. What was interesting is this is that whole issue again that the French brought up, saying that several NATO countries are at least discussing the idea of whether we should be sending, or whether eventually we should be sending troops to Ukraine. And the French, the Czech, and the Polish government all said, we should at least be thinking about this. He is the former British defense secretary, not the current one. But what's interesting about it is he sort of went on in the interview for a while, but he's talking about the notion that basically everything should be on the table. He's not saying we should do it or that we should do it anytime soon. He's saying everything should be on the table, and we shouldn't be in a situation where we tell the Russians up front, oh no, we'd never do that, which frankly, a number of NATO countries did. America did it. The Germans did it. A number of the Italians jumped up and went, oh, no. The Russians are more than happy to keep things ambiguous, right? They're more than happy to keep us guessing as to what they'll do next. And Ben, I'm forgetting, I was going to call Ben Smith, who's a journalist. Ben Wallace, the British former defense secretary, said it is better to keep them guessing. Quick sip of water, all right? I've got some more stories. There's a lot of news today, so I apologize. Maybe not apologize. It's a good thing because it's interesting. Please keep the gifts coming, guys. Gifts on TikTok and YouTube. On YouTube, remember now, we've got the memberships you can do, a new category that is much cheaper. And on TikTok, we have subscription memberships as well. All of those help me a lot. Because basically I do this full time and I am able to keep doing this with your guys' gifts. Thank you, adventurers. You quite literally, as I'm doing my taxes right now, my tax income is you guys, literally. Lots of different ways from you guys, from the subscriptions to the gifts. Like Hedge just did the Franktastic, JS with the chilies, Pureness with the rose, and you guys with the subscriptions and the gifts as well. So all of that helps pay the bills. So please do keep it coming. Particularly the the subscriptions I like because it gives me sort of a set amount of money each month, which eventually would be nice because then I no longer have to keep bugging you about gifts and subscriptions, which would be a wonderful situation to achieve. Let's keep going here. The Netherlands will provide Ukraine with 350 million euros, which is around the same number of dollars. Thank you, adventurers, for the gifts. So the Netherlands will provide Ukraine with 350 million euros for F-16 fighter jet ammunition and advanced reconnaissance drones. The Dutch defense minister said 150 million euros will fund guided air-to-ground missiles that can be fired from F-16s. This is great. Thank you, Monica, for the lemon buddy. This is great because one of the things, obviously, a lot of us have been talking about is, okay, Ukraine gets the F-16s, which hopefully they're getting soon, right? This summer, we're thinking. Thank you, Vicky. But once that happens, will they have the weapons for the F-16s, right? The planes need weapons. What's going on with that? So clearly the NATO allies are thinking about that too, which is great. Nothing about Sweden today. Nope, nothing about Sweden today. Sorry, proud Swede. Russian election cheating. So Putin's election, right? The big Russian elections were this weekend or over several days. And the Russians, Putin won with a ridiculous percentage of the vote that no one believes. Thank you, Gamma. The independent observers say clearly he cheated. He claims 87% of the vote, 87%, which is the amount that only a dictator gets. You don't get these in free elections. You just don't get them. You just don't. There's no way. Well, some analysis today, very interesting. And I think this was from Sky News. Thank you, adventurers. That a election monitoring group found anomalies with 22 million fraudulent ballots posted for Putin. 22 million. Now, the total number of ballots was something around 70 some million. So 22 would be more than 25%, maybe even 30%, okay, of the ballots cast for Putin were fake, according to this election observer. His model is based on the model of an award-winning data analyst who has been widely cited in the West as an authority on Russian elections. A woman in Russia has been jailed for 8 days for writing "no to war" on her ballot. Now, I think it's kind of funny because I was just noticing on TikTok, we've got a number of the folks in the comments that are trying to, kill support for Ukraine and saying, "End the war now, no to the war." Literally, there have been several right now that I've noticed catching my eye. You'd be in jail in Russia for saying that. This woman is jailed for 8 days because she wrote "no to war," thank you, Jetta, on her ballot. Now, they got her, they claim, for damaging state property. So part of it was the fact that she wrote it on a ballot. Thank you, Jetta. But the other part is that, wait, listen to this. What was the other part? Thank you, Conga, for the gifts. The other part was that she discredited the armed forces. So half of her crime was saying it at all. Just simply saying no, not even no to this war. She said no to war. She made a statement about peace, saying she doesn't believe in war generally. That is enough to get you jailed in Russia. Okay, thank you, Marcia. Just an interesting point to think about, because here, in the West, you're allowed to say it. I might not like you if you say it about Ukraine, right? I might disagree with you. Thank you, Janice. I might think it's wrong, but you don't go to jail here for it. You go to jail in Russia for it. Just an interesting point to remind folks of. Russia is seething mad at the International Olympic Committee. Thank you, Audrey. And thank you, Mike. Hey, Mike, thank you so much. Mike just became a subscriber, a new subscriber on YT. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. The International Olympic Committee came out yesterday, I think it was. Thank you, Crazy American, because I reported on it yesterday. Thank you, Audrey. The International Olympic Committee came out and said that the Russian teams and the Belarusian teams are not allowed to participate in the Olympics as teams. The athletes can go as individual athletes, but as a team, they cannot participate. And the individual athletes are not allowed to participate in the opening ceremonies. This is because of the war in Ukraine. Not allowed to participate in the opening ceremonies. And if you support the war, thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Liv. If you support the war, thank you, Kevin, as well, you will not be allowed to participate in the Olympics. The Russian, and this is because of the war in Ukraine. And it's an interesting concept, really. Thank you, Courtney. It goes back to the original Olympics in ancient Greece. And back then, they would hold the Olympics every 4 years or whenever it was. And they would, they were often at war. The Greek city-states, they would have a ceasefire. They would stop the war in order to go and participate in the Olympics at Olympia in, Western Greece. And as I've said before, I'm kind of divided. I think we think of it as a wonderful thing that they did that. Thank you, Audrey, or thank you, Andre. We think of it as a wonderful thing, and Addie as well. But I was thinking about this the other day and imagining the Ukrainians having to compete against the Russians in the Olympics, And I don't know. I just don't know. I'm not sure I think it's a great thing anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, imagine what's going on in Ukraine, what the Russians are trying to do to the Ukrainians. Thank you, Sophia. The United Nations has, not the United Nations, the International Criminal Court has put out an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin for war crimes, right? How do you turn around and then have a tennis match with a Russian while that's happening, right? I don't know. I thank you, Tigger. Maybe ask the Ukrainians how, because they're the ones who really appreciate it. Thank you, Joe, for the gift. And Tigger, they're the ones who really know firsthand, but I would imagine, I'm not sure I'd be really thrilled about playing sports against a guy who's literally trying to destroy my country simply because we called a ceasefire for 10 days. You know what I mean? I don't know. But having said that, traditionally we think of it as a very good thing. In any case, thank you, Sophia, for the gift on YT. Appreciate that. So basically, what the Olympic Committee is doing is saying, if the Russians and the Belarusians are going to be warmongers, is at least the Olympics' position on what they are not going to let them participate in the Olympics because of their pro-war agenda, whatever word you want to use to call it. It's anyway, very interesting. Well, the Russians are not happy. They went after, and this is wild what they did. Thank you, Tigger. And who's the Aflac? Oh, Tigger was with the duck. Thank you for the Aflac. And thank you, Mike, for the tiny diny. The Russians decided to respond by going personally after the International Olympic Committee president, whose name is Thomas Bach. Thank you, Tom Clark. Thomas Bach. And Thomas Bach is a German, because International Olympic Committee, right? People from all over the world work there. The Russians went after him on TV for being a German. They invoked I'm going to be careful the words I use on TikTok now, since they banned me for a week. They compared him to the bad men who were running the German government in World War II. They invoked the Holocaust. All of this, and basically tied him to all of it, saying, well, he's German, right? They claimed that it was, it was racism and the word that comes next from there, that this guy was a neo-N thing, right? Because he had banned Russia from the Olympics. How's that wild, absolutely wild. And the International Olympic Committee, not happy. All right. Finally, The Guardian reports that, actually a lot of folks are reporting this today, that Russia has tortured and arbitrarily detained people in occupied Ukraine. Thank you, Annie. Oh, that's cool. Oh, sports, that's very funny. Thank you for that. I hadn't seen that one before. Thank you. That Russia has, according to a new UN report, Russia has tortured and arbitrarily detained people in occupied Ukraine, creating a climate of fear and suppressing Ukrainian identity. The report, which the UN Human Rights Office said was based on more than 2,300 interviews, accused Moscow of committing widespread violations of human rights law. They've been, according to the report, trying to suppress the identity of Ukrainian children, replacing the curriculum in schools with a Russian one, which sought to justify Moscow's invasion. And there you go. So not good stuff. All right, last little thing, and then we'll do questions. Sorry, a little long today, but I said there was a lot of news today. Our auctions. We've got our auctions going. They will be going through next Tuesday. The auctions, basically, I run auctions every week of cool stuff from Ukraine that we use to support the Ukrainians. Half of the money will always get sent back to Ukraine, but the other half of the money goes to support my work, because I do this full time, and the way I pay my bills is quite literally your guys' gifts. It's your subscriptions, your gifts on TikTok, your guys' subscriptions and memberships that you've been doing, your gifts on YT, all of in our auctions. There's a couple other ways, but it's all you guys are the ones who support me and help me keep doing this. So thank you. I will show you briefly. Actually, the really cool thing, which I showed, which I love this, is a piece of a Russian fighter bomber. That's really cool. That was shot down over Ukraine. That we're auctioning off. A few other pieces. Actually, these are very cool too. They're hand painted by a Ukrainian woman, a Ukrainian artist. The shape of the Ukrainian trident. It's a fridge magnet. Oh, see, with my phone camera, it actually focuses in. I can never get it to focus for you guys. It's finally focusing. Woo! But these fridge magnets are really neat. This is neat because it's an old shell that has been turned into what I like to think of as a candle holder, but with the Ukrainian trident on it and an angel on the back, which I think is really cool. And actually, this is really neat too, because it's a matchbook. It's a Ukrainian matchbook that's a refrigerator magnet created by the Ukrainian Post Office, which shows the design of the stamp that the Ukrainians have that shows the soldier flipping off the Russian warship, the Moskva. Anyway, where you bid is over at our Discord community. You can find it quite easily on TikTok. Thank you, Adventurers. On TikTok, you can find our Discord community. Go to my profile on TikTok. Look for the link. You'll see like the red triangles pointing at the link. Click that link, and just scroll down until you see Discord. And you'll see my Discord community. Click it, go there. Discord's free. I have a public, and for you guys, the same thing. You can go to aravosis.com is where you can find the link. Look for my Discord link there. What I do is for the paid subscribers, because I try to sort of find a way to give you guys a benefit for being subscribers, the monthly supporters on TikTok and YT. The paid subscribers on TikTok and the YouTube ones that are farmer with tractor or above, because I just created Patriot Launcher and I had to leave something for the farmer with tractor folks. Otherwise it wouldn't be fair. You know what I mean? There's no extra gift they get basically if I didn't do this. Those categories will have access to a VIP area. So I've got a public auction for everybody, totally free. The VIP auction is only accessible by actually, you know what? TikTok, it's been a week. Thank you, Tigger. It's been a week and you're already making me forget. TikTok has yet to fix the problem. It's broken, the connection between TikTok and Discord. TikTok officially supports the connection with Discord, but it's broken so that actually TikTok subscribers cannot access the VIP auction. I'm sorry, guys. It's impossible for me to do because there's like 180 subscribers and I can't manually enter you and like take you out every time you cancel a subscription. TikTok was trying to fix it like a year ago and they didn't succeed. So actually, it is only the subscribers on YT that are farmer with tractor and above, or on Ko-fi, on Discord. Any of them will be able to access the VIP, but everybody else is able to access the public section. So that's not a problem. But sorry about that. I forgot about that because it's been a week since I've been on TikTok. I really do wish they could fix the thing because it's a really nice added benefit to be able to give folks being able to sort of do the VIP there. But what I do with TikTok, though, you guys still get to join me for the Saturday show. So I am able to I do that on TikTok for you guys, for the subscribers. And then on YT, I do it over on Discord. But this Saturday, I'm going to try to do it directly on YT as well at the same time. And we're going to see if my computer can hit, meaning you guys and Discord at the same time, and we'll see if it works. I don't know if it's going to over process my processor or whatever, but let's see. Yeah, so I'm using my phone tonight, so I'm glad to hear it's good video, Pen. Thank you, Cheryl. I decided to try an experiment today because I'm always like trying to figure out how to make this better. TikTok has always had very good video quality. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Big Hawk. And thank you, Nadia. TikTok has always had very good video quality. I use my iPad for that. But on YT, I was using actually a Logitech camera. Thank you, Tigger. A Logitech camera that is a $140 camera when I bought it. It's the top of the line camera for streaming. And I bought it because I wanted the best camera. And honestly, it's the 922 or whatever model. It's terrible. I've hated this camera since I've gotten it. You guys know I'm always having issues. You guys don't. On you guys on the iPad, TikTok works great anyway. But for the YT folks on my laptop, the lighting's always wrong. The color's wrong. Today, I finally, after talking to some folks, thought, you know what? Let me try to use my iPhone as a camera. And I'm literally using my iPhone to stream video to the YT website. And the test that I did, the quality was so much better because my YT videos, the quality's never been great. Like you guys on TikTok, again, TikTok, I will give TikTok credit for this. They've really mastered, they've mastered the quality of the video. And if you use an iPad or an iPhone, iPads and iPhones are just I don't want to get too technical geeky with you, but iPads and iPhones have really mastered the ability to make you look good on camera, basically, right? I mean, you've got to worry about lighting and everything else, but they've really done it well. I am not using iPhone Wi-Fi. I'm actually plugged it in via the, USB or whatever it's called now, lightning cord or whatever it is. So I've got it plugged in so it'll be faster. But at least the test that I did, the quality was much better. And you can even zoom in. Like I can zoom in. Actually, I tried to zoom. I'm going to try this. Hold on real quick. I shouldn't do this while I'm live because it'll probably ruin it or something. No, it's not going to let me zoom in. I don't want to like mess it up. But you can I can zoom in, I think, as well a little bit so the connection's better, which would be pretty wide, Anyway, Luna, I don't know if you know this, but TikTok banned me for a week. And I just got on back again tonight. So I'm being very careful with everything I say. That's why I'm calling it YT and trying to be careful in general because just that. So yes. I am trying to appease the gods, as it were. Anyway. All right, guys. So let's do our question, answer, comments. What are y'all thinking? I was not out of town. Well, I was metaphorically in a gulag, yes, but I was not out of town. No. Yeah, I could call it the tube. That's not a bad idea. The tube. You know? Mir v mire. Now, in the old days in Russia, that would mean world peace. I'm not sure if you wrote that as Ukrainian what that is. It was like mir miru. Or was it mir miru or miru mir? I'm forgetting what it was in Russia. Oh, peace in the world. There you go. Yeah. I was going to say it was world peace when the Russians... That was a big Soviet phrase. The Soviets loved that phrase. I remember either Moscow or St. Petersburg, or actually when I was there, it was Leningrad. Back in 1984, there was a huge sign that said, was it Miru Mir or Mir Miru? Miru Mir, I think. I'm trying to remember if any of you guys know Russian. But it meant, world peace. And it was a big Russian, propaganda phrase they like to use a lot. So... is Ukraine receiving any ammunition? Not from America. They're not. Not from America. Not sure what they're getting from the Europeans. I will do a recap at the end. Yes, I did a recap yesterday at the end, and I will do it again today. I do it at the end of the show, though. So that's sort of the last thing I do. So you bought your first iPhone? Wait. I just bought an iPhone, my first. Oh, wow, Chris. Wow. I love the iPhone. I mean... I've never used an Android, so I don't know how... I know people love the Androids too. The iPhones are easy. I will say people I know who have switched from iPhones to Androids or vice versa do say that the Android isn't as easy to use. Miru mir, that's what it is. Okay. Oh, interesting in Ukrainian. Mir svitu. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, Max. Fat chance. Frackety, thank you, Olson. Frackety is asking, do you think the $60 billion in American aid is a lock now? No, not at all. It's getting closer because the Speaker of the House, the Republican Speaker, keeps talking about, lately he said, we'll get to it. We'll pass an aid bill. The problem is, there are a couple problems. One, what kind of aid are they actually giving? Will it be loans? What will it be? I'm less worried about that than I am how much is it going to be. Biden wants to give $60 billion to Ukraine. Are the House Republicans going to make it $20 billion? I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Let's see. But guys, this has been going on for 5 months now, as far as the U.S., cutting off aid to Ukraine. How long does the show last? Officially about an hour, but usually we go at least an hour 15, an hour 20. Something like yesterday was 2 hours. I try not to do 2 hours, but officially, I'd say normally at least an hour 15, because depending how long the news is, I then want to spend enough time with you guys. Oh God, it didn't do that. Tell me it did not just do that. See, this is where the iPhone does bad things. I just set the iPhone so it wouldn't pop things up while I'm doing the show, and it just turned off the setting that I had on. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this 1 second, guys, and I'm going to try to put it back on. I had it on, one quick second here. That's my computer. I cannot believe you did this. There we go. All right, let's hope that still works here. All right. No, I had the setting on so the phone wouldn't ring. And in its brilliantness, the iPhone just decided after an hour it was going to turn. Not even an hour, it was just going to turn it off. I'm like, thank you. The do not disturb. It just turned it off on me. All right, we're back. Actually, I still want to see. Hold on, real quick with the iPhone. No, it's not going to let me zoom in. Hold on. I want to see if it'll let me zoom a little bit here. Oops. Oh, it'll let me zoom a little bit. Hold on here. All right, let me try this. I tried zooming just a little bit. We're still experimenting here with the iPhone over at the tube. There we go. So for example, although see that's zoomed in a bit. So I don't know if that's better or worse, but you guys can let me know. Oops. Hang on, I'm also trying to get it. There we go. It's not bad. But yeah, I don't know if that's any better. But actually, I kind of like that a little better. It's a little more zoomed in. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I'm enjoying my my iPhone. My iPhone as a streaming device works very well. I wasn't really thrilled. Like, I didn't want to use it initially because I didn't want to waste my battery, but I'd rather have a better show. Sasha is doing well. She is right underneath my desk. Thank you, Frank, for the gift. She's right underneath my desk, asleep in her little bed, not begging me at the moment, which is always a good thing, but she is sleeping. I know I was going to say, like, the quality might even be too good of the camera right now. I don't know. I'm getting comments on my pores. Thank you, Black Opal. Very generous of you. We've actually got something wild tonight. There are forest fires in Western Virginia, and the smoke like invaded DC about an hour ago, and it's wild. It's absolutely wild. So the whole town smells of smoke, and it's actually like the sunset is very orange, and the sky, it's kind of weird that it's like this far away, but it's affecting us. It's really weird. Yeah. Anyway, what else we got, guys? And please do keep the gifts coming on TikTok and the tube. I appreciate it. As I said, this is how I pay the bills, is this show. So your guys' gifts quite literally pay my bills. So please keep them coming. I appreciate it. And if you can subscribe, subscriptions are the best thing you can do. So appreciate that. No information on Ukraine receiving the F-16s. As I said, there was news today. Thank you, Timothy. There was news today that the Netherlands is going to be providing some of the weapons to go with the F-16s. But there's no news on sort of the progress of getting them at all. Thank you, Cliff. Everyone keeps saying summer. Summer is when they're supposed to arrive. One thing that worried me a little bit, and I was wondering about this and started reading it. I know my UN book was reading it today, was, the F-16s are coming from a number of, is it Netherlands, the Denmark and the U.S.? The Denmark and the U.S., I think. I'm forgetting the three countries. What worries me is the U.S. really sending them? Thank you, Dawn. Very cool gift. Dawn just did some fighter jets, F-16s, I'm going to guess, as a gift on TikTok. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dawn. But can the U.S. send the F-16s if U.S. aid is cut off? I don't know. I mean, I'd be very suspicious as to how the U.S. is sending any F-16s or any weapons to go with the F-16s or any maintenance of the F-16s if there's no money provided to do that, right? So I don't know. Anna's asking, will there be another spring offensive attempt this year? The Ukrainians, couple different things. Russia's not doing very well either. Russia's captured a few little towns, but that's about it. And it's generally expected that they're not going to be able to do much for a while, except because the U.S. cut off aid to Ukraine. We're making it easier for the Russians, because if the Ukrainians literally don't have weapons, don't have shells, ammunition, then the Russians might be able to do something. The Ukrainians, on the other hand, have said that they're planning something for May. They are supposedly planning something this summer. So we shall see. What else we got going, guys? What other news? What other questions? Steam. I do have Steam. I'm not playing much on it right now. I've got an Xbox. So I've been using my Xbox more. I just finished Baldur's Gate, and I've got, but I haven't really started playing yet. Diablo, of course, 3. So that will be fun. Blue Sky, Blue Sky's asking, why does Ukraine announce their plans with the military? This is something that I don't know. Well, okay. Ukraine could be announcing the plans because they're lying, right? It could be part of the military strategy of Ukraine to basically try to freak the Russians out and confuse them and everything else. So that would be one very good reason, right? Right there. Hard to know. I mean, I will say, I think I'm sort of playing with the light a little bit here. Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Actually, that's all right. Oops. Thank you, Brad. I'll get to that in a second. One of the questions we've often asked is why the U.S. and the Europeans are always talking about what we're sending Ukraine. Because it does feel sometimes like, stop telling the Russians what we're doing. It just seems a little crazy. But some of this is meant to be misinformation, confuse the Russians, make them wonder what's really going on. Brad David asks, what happened to Lindsey Graham? He follows Trump's orders like a dog. Yeah, so Lindsey Graham is a Republican senator from South Carolina. He's a big supporter of Ukraine, which is good. He just visited Ukraine for the 5th time. He is one of Trump's biggest supporters in Congress. Interestingly enough, he was one of Trump's biggest sort of anti-Trumpers when Trump was first running for president. I mean, Lindsey Graham had said horrific things. You can Google it about Trump. Horrific. And then it became clear Trump was going to be the nominee, and Lindsey Graham went, shoop, and now he literally is the biggest Trump, sycophant on the planet. I mean, I think Lindsey Graham is an opportunist. Lindsey Graham was a big fan of John McCain before. John McCain was a very famous American senator, very conservative, but sometimes would throw you for a loop. Like, he came out and cast the deciding vote in favor of keeping Obamacare when Trump tried to kill Obamacare, which is the health care plan that Obama passed. It's the reason I have insurance, because in America, before this, they could just not give you insurance. They could say, you know what? You're sick, or you've had too many, for example, high blood pressure, eczema, high cholesterol, were reasons to not give people insurance. And forget it, if you've had cancer or something else, you'll never get insurance. Obamacare, which was the plan that President Obama passed, changed that. Donald Trump, the Republicans, tried to kill it. Or they've been trying to kill it for years, and they got one vote away from killing it. I think it was 2018 or so. And John McCain, this conservative Republican senator, voted the final deciding vote, voted to save Obamacare. So he was kind of different, very conservative, but kind of different in sometimes. Anyway, very anti-Russian, very pro-American defense, comes from a long military family. His father and grandfather both, I think, were admirals. I'm pretty sure both of them were. There's even a ship named after, I think, his grandfather. His grandfather, was a famous admiral in World War II. Anyway, very famous military family. Thank you, incredibly tired. But Lindsey Graham was like John McCain's little puppy. Like, that was the best guy in the world, was John McCain. And he went from that. Thank you, Cliff. Okay, thanks, Jezek. He went from being John McCain's protege to Donald Trump's protege, which told a lot of people that basically Lindsey Graham wants to follow power. And that's what he's doing. It's not ideology at all. It's not who he respects. It's about power. And John McCain was the big fish that he got to follow first. And now Donald Trump is the big fish he gets to follow now. So, and he was a prisoner of war in Vietnam for 5 years, very bad conditions. They were going to release him because of who his father was, and he refused and stayed. I mean, actually refused to stay, refused to let them release him, which is wild. Absolutely wild. So yeah. What is happening in Ukraine? I just did an entire show about that, Relax Soul. I will be doing at the end of the show in a few minutes, I'll do a recap of all the news we've talked about today. So that will give you a quick, 1 or 2 minute summary of all the news. Otherwise you got to come on time. I start at 6 o'clock Eastern time US. That's 6 o'clock Washington, D.C. time, Monday to Friday. So come by then, and you will be able to get all the news. Well, yes and no, Pen. Pen says, I said, that Biden doesn't have a plan to end the war. Shouldn't it be Ukraine making the end game? And we all know the end game is to get Putin out of Ukraine. Yes, but that's not really the point. First of all, the Ukrainians do have an end game. The Ukrainians said, give us the fighter jets, give us the tanks, give us the ATACMS missiles, give us the Taurus cruise missiles, right? And give it to all of us 2 years ago, and NATO said no. Yeah, the Ukrainians did. The Ukrainians, for the counteroffensive, said we need planes. NATO said no. Every defense expert, by the way, said Ukraine needed planes for the counteroffensive. That there's, in history, no military would ever try to pull off what Ukraine did with the counteroffensive without planes. And we refused to give them the planes they needed. So, if we are the ones... So first of all, Ukraine has a strategy for victory, and we refuse to finance it. Right? Second of all, thank you, Robert, we have to have a strategy. If we're providing first of all, we're a very large and powerful and smart military power, right? So our advice does matter. I think if we're going to be giving Ukraine $100 billion or whatever, I think we're up to $60 billion in military. I forget if it's $60 billion or $40 billion in military aid. If we're going to give that much money, and we already have given, then I think we get to also say, you know what? For example, the U.S. shouldn't give weapons that we don't think are going to work, right? Hold on a second. Okay, Google, showtime. I forgot to tell Google. I have I have a little thing set up with Google and my lights that I tell it when I'm doing my show, so it lightens up everything and makes it prettier. And I totally forgot to do it tonight. But I like the show at night a little better because you guys can see how it adds a little more. I get kind of a nicer look around the apartment, which is nice. But what do you do? Hello, dog. Somebody's awake. Hello. Hello, you. Do I grab you? Oh, I got you. It's too late. It's too late. Oh my God, you are too funny. Okay, the dog makes me laugh because quite literally, I was petting her and she was okay with it. And then I grabbed her collar so she couldn't get away, and she knows what that means. And she tried to run away because she hates it, literally hates it when I pick her up. She hates to be picked up. So she was really, and then I grabbed her neck and she went, very funny. Is Poland planning on sending more equipment? I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not sure what the deal is with Poland. I mean, I just don't know. I haven't heard of anything recently. We've heard from the Germans. We've heard a number of countries. The Czech government. I've not heard anything from Poland, but knowing Poland, I would think they probably still are. I would think they are, Anyway, and thank you, Brad. By the way, if I didn't say thank you, but thank you for doing that as a super chat question. I appreciate it. Excuse me. But yeah, I like doing my show at night a little more because I like the lighting I get in my apartment. It's kind of more fun to me, but it's okay. Actually, I'm still trying to adjust the lighting. I actually, what I did for you guys, I mentioned this last week, by the way, I pulled out a second light and I've got my second lights over there to fill in. And I think it's a little bit brighter, which I don't like for my eyes, but it does a better job of making the show look good. So again, everything for the show. So what do? Can we retire old equipment and donate or sell it to Ukraine at scrap value? I have no idea. We have certainly, in a way, we're already doing that. The ATACMS we sent Ukraine, the missiles that can work in the HIMARS, were the old version that I believe we were getting rid of. So that's one example that I know for a fact, right? That we were giving them something old that we were getting rid of. I don't know beyond that. The only problem is I would bet you we've still got it would still have to go through Congress. We can't just in other words, the government can't just give it to them because it still is U.S. government property and Defense Department property. So Congress would have to authorize a sale or a gift or whatever to a foreign country of those weapons. So yeah, I don't think nothing would happen with that. The Freedom Legion, you mean the Russian Legion? No news on them today. I mean, apparently, these guys are causing Putin some headache. It's this group of Russians fighting against Putin. The Ukrainians are clearly working with them or helping them in some way. We know that. But they have been a thorn in Putin's side. They claim that they grabbed 25 Russian prisoners of war a couple days ago, which if they did is great in the sense of that gives them leverage, right? But we don't really know. What will I do when the war is over? I will move to other issues. I mean, sometimes I talk about, for example, this year being an election year in America, I will absolutely be talking about the U.S. election. And I have several shows when there's news, I'll talk about election stuff. I'm sure that will make the overlords even happier when I talk about the U.S. elections. They'll be really happy. But I will certainly be moving. I will be moving and doing more election news anyway because I think it's too important. The American elections impact Ukraine, but for all of you around the world, the American elections are important, whether you want them to be or not, right? So, but yeah, if Ukraine were to be liberated or the war ends, however it does, I would just move on to other news, So. Because what I like about this too, and I know the feedback from you guys, it's been interesting actually, you guys on TikTok who disappeared for a week, thanks to the TikTok gods. Thank you, Incredibly Tired. But I think a lot of folks enjoy just hanging out, which I like. It's kind of weird to me in a way, because I'm like, oh, okay, good. But it's kind of fun hanging out every day with sort of the same crowd and the friends and everything, even though we're all virtual. So that would mean that maybe switching to other topics wouldn't be necessarily such a bad thing for the show if it happens, because it's still the same crowd. It just can be a little more difficult though. Like if I'm covering a lot of news from around the world, like right now, I'm really focusing on Ukraine every day. So I'm reading all the Ukraine news every day. It's a little harder to focus on everything else, you know? Sally, anything happening in Gaza, God only knows. You know, I'm not reporting on that as much, A, because there's never really any news, and B, you know, all we do is get into fights. I hate that issue. For 20 years, have been avoiding talking about 20 years in journalism or whatever, talking about the Middle East. It's a guaranteed fight every time you talk about the Middle East. I hate it. I hate talking about it. So if I have to, we'll talk about it. But honestly, there's nothing new. I mean, Biden, some of the Democrats are starting to criticize Netanyahu. So there is some news there. Chuck Schumer, important, who's the Senate Majority Leader, which is a big deal. He came out and criticized Netanyahu and suggested that they have elections and get rid of him, which was a big deal. And Biden basically associated himself with the comments, kind of said, I agree with Chuck, or so he kind of did it in a way that was a little bit low key, but agreed with him. So that's kind of a big deal. Yeah, Jared Kushner, I saw that. That was a little crazy. What else? News in Taiwan? What are you trying to get me banned, Brandon? There's no news. There isn't any news, but you know, are you trying to end the show after our first night back? Really? Thank you, Eulina, for the team bracelet, and Pizditz for the hearts. Poland is in the EU and NATO. Yes. Haiti, what a mess. Wow. You know, I am not the expert on Haiti, but my God, the country is literally falling apart. They've got like gangs taking over the country. I mean, it is a disaster. They're going like police station to police station and taking over the police stations and then taking over the neighborhoods. I mean, absolutely insane what's happening in Haiti. Really sad. You know, Haiti is right south of the United States, right south of Florida, shares an island. I think the island's called Hispaniola, I believe, but it shares an island with the Dominican Republic, which is kind of fascinating because it's an island and half the island is French-speaking Haiti. The other half of the island is Spanish-speaking Dominican Republic. So kind of wild that this small island developed, not developed, but became sort of both countries and different languages, but it's a disaster there. Haiti has always had problems, but right now it's just a disaster. Yeah, absolutely horrible. We can go a little bit longer, then we'll call it quits. We've gone an hour and 20 minutes. So as always, like I said, guys, do try to get the subscriptions. I appreciate the gifts anyway, but subscriptions are the best long-term way of helping on TikTok or on the Tube, as we're calling you guys the Tube. And the benefits are you can join our Saturday show. Any of the subscriptions on TikTok or the Tube, you can join our Saturday show, which I do almost every Saturday, 11 a.m. Washington, D.C. time, 11 a.m. D.C. Eastern time. And it's pretty much a hangout we do just for you guys. Sometimes on TikTok, I let others come in to visit, but you can't comment. So it's just us. And anyway, it's nice. And it's a nice way to support me as well. So thank you. And on TikTok, on YouTube, I should say, now you can do the gift certificates or the gift memberships where you can buy a membership for a month for a couple different people, $4.99 each, or the more expensive ones if you want. Thank you, Taras. And that in TikTok, YouTube will automatically give it to people who are here today. And it's kind of nice. Anyway, it's kind of a cool way of giving a gift to people. They get special emojis they can use. You can join the Saturday show. And then after a month, it expires. And if you guys want to continue, you can, but it's a 1-month commitment, which is nice. So, and a number of you guys have done it, which has been very nice, including today, which is very nice of you. Anyway, but yeah, a little bit more and then we'll call it quits. Thank you, Taras. Appreciate it. I did my first Amazon, the Amazon food delivery thing today, which I've never done before. But I finally decided to try it out because I needed some printer ink. And the printer ink was like $7 cheaper on Amazon food delivery, Amazon Fresh it's called, I guess, than Amazon Prime. So I was like, and if I spent $50, it was free, and the printer ink was already like 43. So I looked and I found, I think actually you may have told me, I've mentioned to you guys before that that my favorite frozen pizza, and I'm not a big frozen pizza guy, but my favorite frozen pizza are these Jake's Pizza, Jakes, and they're in the Jewel in Chicago and everywhere else, and they're very good. They don't have them out here in DC that I can find, and the Amazon delivery has them, and they're actually they're not a bad price. They're like $4.20. They're not great, but they're not terrible. Because it's a smaller pizza. But so I ordered 3 of them. So I've got my Jake's Pizza. I am very excited. Don't worry, Ash. They're probably too expensive to ship. You'd have to, and I'm gone in a couple of weeks anyway. Because remember, I'm traveling to Chicago, see Mom, and then go to Asia. So at some point in the future, feel free. But I was very excited. I think you were the one who somebody told me and said you can find them on Amazon, and lo and behold, they're on Amazon. So I was so excited. Yeah. So very cool. See, like now the light's getting a little strong. Hold on, I'm gonna lower the light a little bit. Thank you, running, although only slightly, because we're gonna go soon anyway. One sec. Oops. Let me see. There, let's try that a little bit less. There we go. All right, that's better. That's better. It's still a little bright, but it's okay. Is it looking okay on? See, now for me on TikTok, it almost looks like I'm a little pale because I'm still trying to get the lighting down. Do I look okay on TikTok in terms of not looking pale? And YouTube, same question. Although to me, actually, the color is the same on TikTok and YouTube. It looks a little pale on both of them right now. It looks okay? Okay. Just because I'm still trying to like adjust all of this and get it down. Okay. See, I think it is like, well, now I can do this and make it a little, there we go. So now I can give myself a little more color. I look like a model? Okay, I'll take that. That works. I just adjusted it now and made it a little redder. So now it's a little better. Yeah. But it's hard though, because like you saw how earlier when we had the sun, it was making me orange, and the exact same lighting setup that I've got, once the sun set, I turned white. Well, that's bingo. Jeff says that's why studios don't have windows. Exactly. It's very difficult when you do a show like this, because you've got to think about the lighting. You've got to think about the staging. I did have somebody tell me, which I didn't really agree. Somebody felt that my backdrop doesn't look professional enough. And I was like, well, what? Do I need I don't know that I want it looking, first of all, I don't have a big apartment. I have a nice apartment, but I have a 1-bedroom apartment. I don't have like a room I could make a studio in. You know what I mean? But I'm also not sure I would want that, like a backdrop looking like a new studio. I think it just looks kind of nice. Also, it's kind of personal in a way too. Like I kind of like for you guys on TikTok, I kind of like that the windows there with the plants and my lights and my little Alaskan, baleen, or for you guys the lighting and everything. I don't know. I think it's kind of, I'd have to see. Actually, I could also lower it too. Let me see. Hey Alexa, no. Hey Google, lower the living room lights to 50%. Oh, I don't know if that's, no. Oh, hey Google, set the shelf light to 100%. That's the purple one.
Okay. Setting shelf brightness.
Yeah, see, that's the nice one, the purple one. So see, that gets almost a little nicer, because then but these are you know what I need to do? I still need to, because now that I'm experimenting with new cameras and everything, I need to program more light settings. Oh, that's right, Chris. I know. I just changed. You're right. I didn't think of that. Chris said I just changed all the lights for all my viewers. Thank you, Roy. I appreciate the YouTube gift. The YouTube gift. Thank you for that. You are very welcome. But yeah, I just changed all the lights around the world. Well, it's better than setting off the missiles, like I said. Anyway. But yeah, I like it because on YouTube especially, you can see the plants and stuff. It almost looks fake. I almost think like it does look fake a little on YouTube, because it's doing such a good job of focusing on my face on YouTube that the backdrop is now out of focus. And it almost looks like the plants almost look fake to me, like it's a picture. It's not. They're real. I can show you. These are my real plants. Beep, 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 beep. But yeah, that's my Philips light, which I love. I a couple, maybe 2 years ago now, I got the Philips, which you can get it doesn't have to be Philips, but the Philips lights that are the LED strips. And they didn't look good anywhere in the apartment. And I put them up. I've got a shelf, which you guys I can try to show you. Actually, I don't want to mess with you right now. But for you guys, you can see the shelf I've got, and putting the Hue lights in the shelf were stunning. Like everywhere else, they didn't do anything. But I found that those lights do best when they're in like a captured area, and then they shine. But it's wonderful because it throws the light also around my apartment, which you can see, and it almost makes the yellow light a little. Anyway, I like my lighting because it took me forever to figure it out. And now, like, this is also the lighting I use when I watch TV at night. This isn't just for the show. I turn down the light and I watch my TV at night with this, and it makes this wonderful kind of bluish purple. It's just this, it makes me happy, and it makes, like, it kind of calms me down nicely, which is nice. So, Max Headroom, yeah, you might be dating yourself, but I know the reference. I never watched the show though. Yeah, so anyway, okay, good. I'm glad you like it because, like I said, I like my backdrop, but I was told it might not look professional, or it was confusing or something, and I was like, I kind of like it. I think it looks homey, And also, I think it's also kind of, I think, to me at least, this show reminds me a bit like I had one of the big political blogs in the U.S. back in the 2000s. It was one of the big America blog. It was one of the big American political blogs, one of the biggest in the world. And one of the things that was nice with the blog was we tried to be very personal. So we talk about our pet, like I talk about politics, but I would show you the dog and show pictures of my dog, things like that. And it was a nice, and I like that. And I think for this experience too, I like the personal stuff. Like I like showing the apartment, like there's something about showing my stuff and my artifacts or my Alaskan stuff. Anyway, Richard is saying, and thank you, Richard, for doing that as a super chat question. If you haven't seen Lev Parnas, I think is his name, from today's hearing, you need to watch it. He named members of Congress. I saw a clip, but I didn't see anything beyond that. I want to say, I'm forgetting what the whole thing now. I'm forgetting the whole thing. Was he talking about Russian influence campaign in America, I think? I have to check it out, though. By the way, that's Aaron Parnas's father, who's the big TikToker and et cetera on Ukraine. That's his dad, which is, in case you knew that. No, not at all, Marilyn. This stuff is easy to do. It's very easy. The only thing that's hard is, I had to go up there on a ladder and put it down. And it's a strip that's probably 30 feet long. As you're going, the strip wants to fall off because it's heavy. So if one part starts to hang down, it pulls everything. You can imagine, like, how do you put a rope all the way up there? But they're very easy to do, though. Yeah, I was able to do it. And I'm not at all a Mr. Fix-It kind of guy in the house. Not at all. Not at all. Dennis, I'm not sure what you're telling Marilyn, but be nice. Don't be weird. I don't know if you're being weird, but don't be weird. All right. Thank you, Alex, for the gift. Yeah. That's my baleen. Yeah, the stick sticking out of the TV is the baleen. The thing is, there's nowhere else to really put it. I could hang it on the wall, and I have hung it on the wall before. The Young Turks, look, I've known Sank for years, I call him Sank, I don't know how to pronounce his name. The problem with the Young Turks it's the same problem Glenn Greenwald, and I think it's a growing problem on the left today in America. It is a segment of the left that is very far left, and they become so far left that they're not, I think they become anti-American. I think they become anti-Democrat. Like if you're on the left in this country and you hate Democrats, you've got a problem because there ain't nobody else. And they end up, and they're happy to hurt Democrats. First of all, I think they like hurting Democrats more than Republicans because they're so far left. It's this, frankly, it's like the socialist left, really, is what they are. And the socialist left in this country is not like Europe. Here, the socialist left is still kind of out there. I'm sorry, it is. Some of you may say you're socialist, but nonetheless, it's a little out there. And they're kind of, flamethrowers. They'd like to do it against the rest of the left, which I think is not helpful, So it's funny. I'm looking at the light again, and now I'm becoming orange on TikTok, but that's okay. The lighting keeps changing again and again and again. It's all right. So yeah, I've not been a big fan of theirs for that reason. I'm going to adjust this again. I'm not a big fan of theirs, to be honest. So, because I think they're kind of just like to attack Democrats and like to, and also there's an extremism to the far left that is kind of stupid, I find. Like, I just think there's a naivete, and I mean, I'm not even going to get into issues of today, but there's a naivete that I'm not a big fan of. Okay, Tom, I'll let it go. Only because today is the day that I'm working on all of this. It's the first day I'm playing with the light and my camera and everything else. That's why I'm paying more attention to it. I don't know about that, Marcus. That I don't know. You got the map. No, TikTok, the overlords have not complained about the map. We did have the map earlier today. I was showing you Crimea and explaining the territory taken over. So the map is alive. I try not to abuse the map. Actually, we showed the other map too. I did show the other map that Ava made, the map that shows Russia and Europe and everything else. Yeah. So anyway, Keps, the problem with socialists in America is they're just they're like, I'm trying to find nice words that TikTok won't get upset over. They're flamethrowers is the nicer word I will use. I just, I'd have to, I mean, I just, they tend to be anti-Democrat. AOC was this way. She matured significantly. Jeff, no, and nobody can tell me. Yeah. And we'll leave it at that. But nope, not a thing. Not a thing. Bernie is certainly mature enough, Bernie Sanders, that he's worked with how to, right? AOC, I think, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's this young congresswoman, definitely mature. Then you get to Tlaib and Omar and those guys, and they're, woo, as far as I'm concerned. They're wackos. But again, let's not get into this. We're just going to get, Alexandra, is there a section on Discord I can go to ask about how to link Discord subscription? Yes. Well, okay. On Discord, there's a section that is like a help section that's set up. Well, first of all, when you're there, you've got to click the verify and do all of that stuff, right? The thing that says read me, if you're new, I mean. If you're not new, then you're fine. But if you're new, you've got to verify yourself because it's the way we stop the bad guys from coming. Once you do that, I don't have my phone. I'm forgetting. I can't use my phone anymore because it's there. Remember how I like to use my phone to show you stuff? I can no longer do it because my phone's my camera. Oh, well. But one of the, for YouTube, once you, thank you, Addie. And who was that? Thank you, Running. Once you've created an account on Discord, and once you've joined my Discord, you just go into your settings. Usually it's a button on the bottom, and there's a settings button. It could be a gear shift or something. You click for your settings, and in there's a setting called connections or something. Sasha, I hear you. Just wait. There's a setting called connections or something. You click the connections button, and one of the options that comes up is YouTube, and you can connect your YouTube. So you could also try to connect TikTok, but as I said, the TikTok connection's been broken. Otherwise, there is a help section. I'm forgetting what it's called, but it's quite obvious. Again, if you verified, you'll see it. It's a help section. It's called, I don't know if anybody has it handy, but it's called something obvious. Something obvious. RFK Jr., I'm not a fan of because of his conspiracy theories. I was telling you guys the other day that his organization he runs, which is his anti-vax organization, it's called Children's Health something or other. And they put out a tweet 2 weeks ago saying that the polio vaccine doesn't work. And the reason, which is a lie, it works. The polio vaccine has saved millions of children from paralysis and, a lot of them from death as well. but claimed the polio vaccine doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work, they claim, his organization, is because polio isn't even caused by the polio virus. It's caused by toxins. That is BS. That is quack science. Literally no normal, intelligent, scientific human being believes that. He is an anti-vaxxer. He has said that, and this was last summer he said, and he got called on it on CNN, and he lied about it. And then he got shown, he lied. The CNN host said, you said last summer that there isn't a single vaccine proven to be effective, and there isn't a single vaccine that has ever been proven to be safe. And he said, that's not true. I never said that. And she goes, roll the tape. That's all she said, goes, roll the tape. It was a minute long, and it was a minute she played because she wanted to make sure he didn't say it was out of context. A minute of him speaking just last summer. Long. There isn't a single vaccine that's effective. There isn't a single vaccine that's proven safe. Or no, that's proven effective, he said, or proven safe. I think he's a quack. And that's why I don't like him, and he shouldn't be president. And by the way, all he does, one of his two vice presidents, he narrowed the vice president candidates because he's not going to win, but he's running for president. He narrowed it down to Jesse Ventura, who's a former wrestler who became like the governor of Minnesota. So a wrestler, and this, what's his name? Aaron Rodgers. I forget if he's baseball or what he is. Some sports guy who's famous in America, but he's most famous for what? Being opposed to the COVID vaccine. He was famously opposed to the COVID vaccine. He lied about it and said he was immunized, and made people think he was. It's football. Okay, thank you. See, he shows you what I know. He intentionally made people think he got the vaccine. He goes, "Oh, I'm immunized." He had gone to some homeopathic doctor who gave him God knows what and said, you are now magically immunized. I mean, and this is the guy, and that's it, by the way, guys. He did one other thing too. Oh, he also accused, who was it? Remember? He accused of being involved with that scandal, that guy in New York and his little girlfriend where they abused the women. That scandal, remember? And the guy ended up going to prison, and that was the end of him. He accused somebody famous, Jimmy Kimmel, an American comedian, of being a patron of that guy, basically abusing young girls. I mean, horrific what he accused. This is the guy's claim to fame. He's an extremist. He's an extremist. Oh, the Sandy Hook. Oh my God, I forgot about that. And CNN reported last week that one of their hosts, who's very good, Pamela Brown, she's wonderful. She was at a party or an event. He was standing. I hear you. Okay. He was standing near her, and she heard him say to people there that Sandy Hook, which was this horrific massacre of one of our horrific gun massacres we have in America at schools, where they killed like 19 children aged 5 and 6. I mean, horrific, okay? That he claimed it was a false flag operation done by the government, that it was like a fake. And another person said he has said similar things to them, but that person said it anonymously. The CNN host went on the record and said, and CNN is not trash. CNN is one of the best news networks in the world. For her to say that means it's true, as far as my opinion, because CNN is literally one of the best news networks in the world. But the point here is, this guy's claim to fame is he's a football player. He allegedly claimed that the Sandy Hook massacre was a fake government operation. I'm already forgetting what the other stuff was, right? He basically was doing vaccine denialism. And that's the guy's claim to fame. And RFK Jr. decides he wants him to be his vice president, that he's one of the top 2 vice presidential candidates for RFK Jr. RFK Jr. is is acting like an internet troll, basically. Yeah, Gabe, CNN is CNN is one of the best. Everybody knows it too. CNN is one of the best news networks in the world. Yeah, they're not even a question. Yeah. So Joe Rogan's another one. I mean, Joe Rogan just recently, who did he go after recently? He just did something. AIDS. Oh my God. Joe Rogan decided to have somebody on to question the AIDS virus being fake. I know a lot about AIDS because being gay and being educated, you learn this stuff, and working in Washington in politics. Joe Rogan decided to have an AIDS denialist and to put out conspiracy theories that literally had to be clamped down 30 years ago about AIDS. The theories were so outlandish that they got the president, it was the president of South Africa at the time. I'm forgetting the name. You know who I mean. It wasn't Mbeki, was it? The president of South Africa believed in these theories and gutted South Africa's AIDS program in the 1990s because of these crazy theories about AIDS isn't really caused by a virus and this kind of stuff. Finally, he gets kicked out, and South Africa is back on the path, for the last 20 years of addressing the virus and the plague. And Joe Rogan decides a couple weeks ago to have this AIDS denier on, and in only the way Joe Rogan can, right? Not interviewing the guy and proving the guy's crazy, but interviewing the guy as how interesting. So, yeah. No, that's the problem with Joe Rogan. I think people play games, Yeah. Anyway, okay, guys, we've been doing an hour and 45 minutes, and the gods have still not canceled us, so let's play it safe and get rolling here, all right? Thank you for joining tonight. TikTokers, we missed you. YouTubers, we didn't miss you. You were wonderful filling in for the week, and you're still here, which is great. I'm going to, the recap, you know what? I'm tired. Sorry, Dawn. No, I'm not going to do I'm exhausted, and it's been an hour. Once we go this long, I don't do a recap. It's been an hour and 45 minutes. I'm not doing a recap. I'm going to go put on a frozen Chicago pizza. Dobra nić, Marie. I'm going to go put on a frozen Chicago pizza and watch some TV, catch up on Suits with my dog. I just started watching Suits for the first time. It's very good. I'm not sure when Ukraine's going to get the troops or the weapons it needs, to be honest. It's terrible. I live in Washington, D.C. Yep. Anyway. All right, guys. Suits is excellent. Yep. All right. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. Oh, actually, tomorrow during the day, I'm going to be streaming live tomorrow. My friend Damien and I are going to the Cherry Blossoms. It's going to be a little cold, which I'm not happy. It's a zoo with all the people there, which I don't like, but I thought it would be fun to go, and I thought it might be fun to stream. So I'm going to try to stream from my phone. Let's see how long it lasts, because I think when I stream from the phone, it goes fast. But I will be streaming live. I don't know what time. It might be 11:30. It might be noon is my guess, probably. Maybe noon. I can't really tell you. I can't tell you because Damien and I are going to get together. We've got to take an Uber down there. The Uber can only get us so close. Thank you, Gabe. Right. And then we've got to walk. So it's like it depends on the crowds. So, but I'm going to stream and I'll do some videos so that I can at least put a video up as well. But the stream will be just random. Can't tell you. Maybe if I've got enough power, well, I'll probably do a YouTube stream a TikTok stream because it's more people. Well, the cold is not nice for walking though. All right, guys, I will see you. Thank you so much. Let me see here. A few days ago, it shows YouTube is connected on Discord, but doesn't show that I'm a subscriber on YouTube. Alexandra, you're not a subscriber on YouTube. That's the problem. You'd have to be a paid subscriber. At least according to YouTube, it's not showing that you are one. So you'd have to be a paid monthly subscriber on YouTube for it to show it over on TikTok. Now, you can still, on Discord, you can still join us on Discord in general, but the Saturday show you can't watch on Discord, or you wouldn't get access to the VIP auctions if that's what you're trying to do. That's the problem. At least looking at your name here on YouTube, it's showing that you are not a subscriber. So yes, Chris is correct. You need to be a subscriber. Anyway, let's figure it more out. If there's a help section where you can message us on Discord. Feel free to use that because that's an easier way for me and Syndicate, who's our wonderful friend and tech guy, to help. All right, guys, let me go. Have a good night. I'm going to go make some pizza. Lovely seeing you all. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Have a good night, guys. You are okay. It's not showing that it's not showing it on YouTube. Not on YouTube. It's not, because YouTube, your name is showing up with not being colored. YouTube says you're not. Check your YouTube account and check the settings and check your memberships on your YouTube account and see if it shows my site as a membership. Well, but we can't help you. I'm telling you right now, I am looking at you on YouTube. YouTube is telling me you're not a member. Sorry, guys. All right, you guys, good night. YouTube is saying that you're not a member. So you need to go and look. I would not even go to the help section. You need to look at your YouTube account and click on a button that says memberships or whatever it is and see if your YouTube account even says, right? Make sure your YouTube account says you're a member on YouTube, because I think you're not. Or at least it's telling us you're not. All right, let me go, and we can continue talking about this on Discord if you find the help section there. But otherwise, look around on YouTube. That's the problem. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry about that, but on my end, it's because you can see the way it's showing your name as not being highlighted means you're not a member. You're not a subscriber on YouTube and that's why YouTube isn't passing it to TikTok or to Discord. Okay. Good night.